It is the Savage Nation. I'm glad to be back. I mean, I missed the show. I had to go there. 3-day trip. Unbelievable. Manhattan's so great, I'm thinking of moving there. I know, garbage bags and all. The pomposity of the liberals on the Upper East Side is where I could spend the rest of my life in and around the Metropolitan Museum. And seeing the people is a lifetime of pleasure to see the BS that people put on. The outfits, the dog walking, the cars, everyone's a star behind their car. Everyone is the star of their own reality show. I never saw anything like it. Every woman, every second, she has cameras following her in her own mind. From the toilet to the closet to the street to the restaurant, there she is. Now I'm getting in a car. Now I'm getting out of a taxi. The way I hail a cab, it should be a reality show. It's time for lunch. It's time for my nails. It's time for yoga. It's time for Prozac. It's time for Mozac. It's time for Chojak. I've never seen anything like it. Everyone's a star behind their car. That's why I want to move to Manhattan. I fit right in. Everyone's walking around with an invisible camera hanging over their head. Used to be halos over people's heads. Now it's invisible cameras following their each and every move. Let's go. No, the weather was pretty awful when I got in on Sunday. Hot, the humid. I couldn't believe it. The smell of the garbage in the Manhattan. Gee, it was awful. Thanks for the call. No, I couldn't believe it. I get in, I went down to my store, my father's store was on Ludlow Street with a video camera. I actually went and bought a video camera, figuring I'd have some spare time in addition to seeing the doctor, whatever. I couldn't believe it. I mean, the street was teeming with restaurants, bars, but there was the store. Now it's a bar where my father toiled his whole life. It's now some hipster bar. But the funeral parlor is still there. The exact funeral parlor building is still there. The streets are disgusting. They're dirty. They're hideous. I walked down the street with my son, and I said, I got to show you the luncheonette where the famous fly in the tuna story occurred. He's a grown man. I don't know if it meant anything to him, where my father, I came back with a tuna sandwich once to the market. I hated that place. I hated the streets. I was afraid of it as a kid. The bums, the criminals. He said to me, you got to learn to be tough. Go out and get me lunch. He would do it every day, and I was afraid to go out, but he made me. So I go out and get the tuna sandwich. I must have been 5 years old. I come back crying because I open it up. There was a fly in the tuna. My father turned red. His neck swelled. The veins started to swell. He grabbed my hand, threw the stand up, ran down the street holding my hand, ran into that little ugly, disgusting luncheonette and said, "How dare you give my son a tuna sandwich with a fly in it?" So the greasy counter man looks at him and says, "Let me see the sandwich." He opens it up. He sees the fly in the tuna. He says, "So what? I didn't charge you for the fly." Now, you think it's an old joke. It isn't. Unfortunately, it was true. But that luncheonette was still there. It's become a Mexican restaurant now. It's as dirty as it was then. As dirty as it was then.